All right, we'd like to start today's news conference. It's the kickoff for Wildfire Awareness Week 2017. We will begin with our speakers who are standing behind me. After they are done, we'll start with a question and answer period, which the director from CAL FIRE, Chief Ken Pimlott, will facilitate. And then we'll go with one-on-one interviews after that. At this point, I'd like to introduce the CAL FIRE Shasta Unit Chief, Mike Hebert.
All right, thank you. So again, my name is Mike Hebert. I'm the unit chief for CAL FIRE Shasta Trinity Unit, as well as the chief of the Shasta County Fire Department. We welcome you here to the 2017 Wildfire Awareness Week. There's a few folks that aren't going to be speaking I'd like to introduce today as well, starting with the two Northern Region Assistant Region Chiefs, Chief Greg McFadden and Chief Mike Bradley, Deputy Director for Fire Protection Dave Teeter, Chief Deputy Director for CAL FIRE Janet Berenston, Darren Dow, Local 2881 CAL FIRE firefighters, Dave Muir and Talon Overstreet from Senator Gaines' office, and Neil Fisher from PG&E is here as well as a host of others. And I'd like to thank the guys from Station 58, done an outstanding job getting this place prepared. So just to be brief, because you're going to hear a lot of different things from the folks behind me, I want to talk specifically about Shasta County and let the people of Shasta and Trinity counties know that we are ready for fire season as it comes, as we move forward. So we've had a lot of rain this year. You don't have to look around too much to see that we have a lot of tall grasses and that we are prepared for that this year. We have here locally, CAL FIRE has their 19 engines. We have 3 dozers. We have 12 hand crews. We have the air base, the emergency command center. We are prepared and ready, and we're ready because we're working with our cooperators. Huge cooperation between Forest Service, BLM, National Park Service, City of Reading Fire, Shasta County Fire Department. Everybody working together in harmony so that we can keep the folks of Shasta and Trinity counties safe. So we look forward to doing that. One big thing we've done this year, working with the Sheriff's Office here locally in Shasta County Fire and CAL FIRE and the American Red Cross, was putting together Shasta County wildfire evacuation plans. As we go around and do inspections at the houses throughout the county, we are handing these out, as well as having them available in the stations if you want to come by and visit folks for them. With this, it tells you where to go in case of evacuation. There's collection points that you can go depending on which way the fire's coming from. It also has CAL FIRE's Ready, Set, Go. And I'll speak on the last piece here of that. When you are told to go in Shasta County, when a fast-moving fire is coming your way, when you're, be it via reverse 911 or the firefighters at scene tell you to leave, it is important for you to leave so that you can be safe and the firefighters can be safe as the fire front hits. That's something we want to get across to people this summer. So with that, I'm going to introduce Shasta County Supervisor Leonard Modi as our next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. You're in District 2 today. That's my district. And if you look around, you can see it's an area that certainly is ripe for fire. And that's why I'm glad we're starting out with this Fire Awareness Week. First, I'd like to thank in advance all of our firefighters throughout the state who work so hard for us each and every year. And in particular, the firefighters here in Shasta County who have done tremendous jobs over the last few years with some of our fires. We're very fortunate in Shasta County that we have a cooperative agreement with CAL FIRE in that they are the administration of our county fire department, and Chief Hebert has done an excellent job for us over the last few years. And finally, I'd like to just reach out to the public and say, please pay attention to what you're going to hear today to be prepared for our fire season that's coming upon us very soon. It's your responsibility to help our firefighters by preparing your property to make it defensible, to help stop fires before they get going, and help save lives. So please, please follow the instructions and advice that they give you over the next few weeks. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce the California Forestry Association, Dave Bischel.
Thank you, Mike. I'm Dave Bischel. I'm president of the California Forestry Association. We're a trade association that represents over 4 million acres of private forest landowners all of which are either family-owned businesses or privately held businesses that own forest properties up and down the state. And it is my honor to be here today representing the association and recognizing the key role that the department and the Forest Service and all the firefighting agencies provide to both our members as large private members, landowners and small private landowners, as well as the cooperative efforts that we do for fire prevention. Catastrophic wildfire is probably the largest and most significant issue that impacts our forest lands, and having a collaborative relationship in forest lands that have at least 11 million people that live within the urban wildland interface, along with our small and large private owners and the public lands, makes it a significant challenge to deal with the issue of catastrophic fire. And I have to say that the communication that we have with the department each year before fire season starts, the communication that we have developed on fires has been key to helping to achieve a result that is working in private lands. We definitely need and want to see a greater collaboration with the national forests as well, but I think we need to really focus on how we work together and how we are currently working together to deal with catastrophic fire. One of the other issues that is key to us is the tree mortality emergency proclamation that the governor put out in the over 100 million trees that are currently dead on our national forests and private lands, and we've seen this moving further and further north. It is, again, an issue of helping to prevent, both deal with the fuels that are resulting from that and helping to prevent that from occurring in a broader cross-section of the forest as we look forward to this particular area. And I think we have worked very close with CAL FIRE as the lead agency on that task force. I think it's really done a great job in the Central Sierras and is moving north. And the other issue that we deal with significantly is trying to prevent this catastrophe from moving further north. And in doing so, using our capabilities to thin our forests and our adjacent forests, to work on collaborative projects with the Forest Service, looking at watersheds from an all lands perspective. These are all the kinds of things that we are doing collaboratively with the agencies, and quite frankly, I have to applaud the efforts and look forward to continuing to deal with not only, finally, it would appear, at least for this year, the drought is over, but as we all know, that's only a part of the situation that we're dealing with, and I'm sure others will deal with those issues later. Thank you again, and I look forward to working with CAL FIRE in the future. I also need to introduce Jim Millstone, who is the superintendent of the Whiskey Town Park.
Good afternoon. My name is Jim Milestone. Millstones you tie around your neck and you jump off bridges with, but milestones, moments in history. Okay. Anyway, I just want to, I think this is impressive to see all the federal agencies and the county representatives and CAL FIRE, the state agency, shoulder to shoulder here, demonstrating a unified force to deal with the great threat of wildfire to California and to our communities. And certainly, as the last speaker stated, Dave, we have a huge threat, especially in the Sierra Nevadas, with all the millions of dead trees that have, as a result of the drought. Whiskey Town National Recreation Area, where I've served as the superintendent now for 17 years, very proud to have an outstanding fire crew with our fire management officer, Tom Garcia, and Eric and Tucker manning the engine, and our Whiskeytown fire module that goes all across the United States dealing with wildland fire issues. And one of the things that we have a tradition of it over 40 years of igniting prescribed fire on our landscape at the park. In the 42,000 acres, we've been burning the perimeter lands and the interior of the park, and we're doing this in preparation for the event of a large catastrophic fire coming towards the park. And as we saw in 2004 with the big French Gulch fire locally, which had devastating effect on both the natural, the cultural, and the quality of life in French Gulch, that was a huge fire ignited by a cigarette. And so this is where the public can really step up and help us be very careful about campfires, be very careful about the extinguishing of cigarettes. And this is one of the reasons why Whiskeytown National Recreation Area became a smoke-free park. And so we've prohibited cigarette smoking except for in designated areas. And we really try to encourage this healthy lifestyle, healthy living. And with that is our firefighters, CAL FIRE, and the BLM, the U.S. Forest Service, all the young men and women that are out there fighting fires, training all year, keeping in shape, taking their arduous physical exams to be able to then go off and fight these fires, which is extremely taxing physically and mentally. And so my ranger hat is off to the firefighters of here in Shasta County, working together to try to protect our gateway communities of Old Shasta, French Gulch, and West Redding, and all the rest of Shasta County. We respond, in the National Park Service, mutual aid with CAL FIRE, and with the Forest Service and the BLM lands adjacent to the park. So we're very excited to be here, continue on this great cooperative relationship. And also, I'm very excited to hear about CAL FIRE's plans to expand into a program of following this tradition of starting prescribed fire throughout the state of California to help reduce this heavy fuel threat. So I look forward to both continuing to utilize the resources of CAL FIRE and our neighboring agencies, and also to help CAL FIRE successfully implement their prescribed burn programs into the future. So with that, I'm going to introduce Dana Howard with the California Conservation Corps.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. And good afternoon. I'm Dana Howard, Communications Director for the California Conservation Corps, and with me today as well from the California Conservation Corps is Scott Woolsey, who is our District Director here in Redding, in the Shasta Trinity Cascade Center. So thank you for joining us today, Scott. The severity of the threat of wildfire is no doubt daily on our minds right now. It's on the minds of the Californians and as well the California Conservation Corps teams. We have crews working up and down the state right at this moment to reduce the fuel, the underbrush, the growth, the vegetation that can feed wildfires and then drive them to become even more dangerous and even more uncontrollable. Additionally, the CCC Corps members are in training to prepare and assist CAL FIRE crews and the U.S. Forest Service crews in protecting our property, and as well as in protecting our national forests, our parks, and our wildlife. Just since March, we have reduced fuel and cleared dead trees and that vegetation and underbrush in more than 1,000 acres. That's 750 plus football fields up and down the state of California in this past year. We've been doing that in the Tahoe area, right here in the Shasta area, Trinity Forest at Burning Falls, the Santa Cruz Mountains, down in the Central Sierra as well, outside of Fresno and Bakersfield, and that's just to name a few places. That's added up, as I said, to nearly 1,000 acres in the past year of land that has been cleared, the brush cut down, and hauled away by CCC crews. Our motto is hard work, low pay, miserable conditions, and more. And I'm telling you, we are living up to that. Our Corps members, they are not on the fire lines for the pay. They are there because they are in it. Their hearts are in it to protect our property and California's natural resources. They respond to natural and man-made disasters, and that includes fire, even when the conditions are indeed downright miserable. In fact, there's one Corps member, Shelton Cherry. He's a young man straight out of the urban areas of Los Angeles and Southern California. He's now working fuel reduction, and he is hauling these 50-pound logs. You can see it in some of the video that I was telling you guys about. He hauls 50-pound chunks of wood, throws them up into a fire so that they can get burned on the site. And I talked to him. He says, "This is really hard." I said, "I know." But he says, "I love it because it has taught me so much about myself, about our forests, our land, and how to protect them." And now he says he just wants to become a forester. And that's what the Conservation Corps does. I tell you that because it exemplifies the young men and the young women of the California Conservation Corps and how they are committed and are the reason why we remain the oldest and largest conservation corps in the nation. And throughout the rest of the summer, you're going to see them on the front line, reducing the fuel loads, reducing the threat of potential wildfires. And when the fires do happen, they'll be working side by side with CAL FIRE to make sure that our land and our property are protected. And they'll be working alongside as well the Bureau of Land Management. And from the Bureau of Land Management is Kip Morrell. He is the state aviation manager with the helicopters, or some of the helicopters you'll see this summer. Kip.
I appreciate that introduction. Again, my name's Kip Morrell. I'm the BLM California State Aviation Manager, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of the BLM today. BLM California has strong ties to the wildland fire community, and we're committed to help protect communities from devastating wildfire. BLM California's most precious asset is our people. We currently employ more than 200 permanent fire staff, and we also hire up to 150 seasonal firefighters every season. Their safety and the public safety is our highest priority. We feel the best way to achieve that is to maintain and enhance our collaboration with all of our interagency partners here in California. BLM California directly protects 16.3 million acres within multiple jurisdictions under the statewide suppression agreement. In addition to helping to do our part to protect homes and infrastructure, we're also committed to providing protection to our wild places, your public lands, and federally listed species. We're able to achieve this through fuels treatments, such as fuel breaks, education and awareness, and through aggressive initial attack in those areas. Although the overall drought emergency appears to have subsided, we're still feeling the effects with over 100 million standing dead trees that are a hazard not only to our firefighters, but also to homeowners, landowners, and the public as well. Again, I want to emphasize that BLM California is committed to working with all of our interagency partners to lessen the threat and impacts of wildfire here in California. Thank you. Am I introducing Chris? I'll introduce Chris Scow, who is the Acting Fire Director for Region 5 Forest Service.
Thank you, Kip.
Thank you, sir.
They told me yesterday this was up in my face, so I'm going to get a little lower, and it'll be just right for Ken after me. So, good afternoon, and welcome to Wildfire Awareness Week here on the Shasta Trinity and in the Redding area. My name is Chris Scow. I'm the Acting Director for Fire and Aviation Management for the U.S. Forest Service here in California. I represent 18 national forests in California, going from the Oregon border by the Klamath National Forest all the way down through the Shasta Trinity here, through California down to the Cleveland on the Mexican border. So that amounts to about 20 million acres of land in California. Those 20 million acres produce a great deal of drinking water, a lot of recreation opportunity, hydropower, timber, forage, a lot of things Californians value. As an agency, we're committed to the protection of that land and to all the land together with our partners here in California. And we have a three-pronged strategy to mitigate the threat of wildfire to the citizens of California. First of all, as been mentioned by a few of our speakers, a safe, effective fire response is one of our top priorities. The safe part, Kip mentioned, we place a great deal of value in our firefighters and all firefighters in California and public safety. So a lot of our fire actions are dictated around the safety of the public and the safety of our firefighters. In this region, the U.S. Forest Service brings about 5,000 firefighters to bear in the effort to mitigate the effects of wildland firefighter. We've got smoke jumpers here in Reading. We have about 272 engines, like engine from the Shasta Trinity here, scattered throughout the state. We have helitack crews. We have aircraft to fight fire. We've got dozers. Again, about 5,000 firefighters. That's for within a total in the Forest Service of about 10,000 firefighters. So at different times of the year, given activity, we can either bring firefighters here, or like now when there's still snow in the mountains, we have some firefighters in Georgia and Florida fighting those fires back there. So again, the first part of our strategy is a safe, effective fire response. The second part of our strategy is to restore and maintain resilient landscapes. We have a variety of mechanisms to do that. In talking with the forest as I arrived here today, the Forest FMO is describing to me the Weaverville Community Project, Weaverville Community Forest Project. As soon as their conditions are aligned right, when they're in prescription, they're looking at doing some prescribed fire in the Weaverville area. We do that in conjunction with thinning, other harvesting techniques, and other mechanisms to keep our forests in a healthy state where they can sustain fire in a healthy way and continue to deliver those values that we need here in California. The third part of our strategy is collaborating with fire-adapted communities. And I would put it to you that basically every community in California has to be fire-adapted to one degree or another. A lot of the tools we have in helping our communities adapt to wildfire includes working with fire safe councils to create fuel breaks around communities, maintain those fuel breaks, together with our partners. I know all the federal partners, CAL FIRE and the local government put a lot of effort into those fuel breaks, and we're proud to be part of that. Other efforts that we look at in working with our communities, outlined here on the banner to my left, is working on defensible space, and again, as was mentioned with the first speaker, good solid evacuation plans and encouraging people to pay attention to those. So again, a three-pronged strategy to mitigate the impacts of wildfire here in California: safe, effective fire response, restoring and maintaining resilient landscapes, and collaborating with fire-adapted communities. So in California, I think you've heard from all our speakers today, fire impacts everybody throughout the state. We live in a climate and have ecosystems that are adapted to fire. Our communities need to be adapted to fire, and it's an effort that we're all in together. Glad to be here with all our partners. And with that, I'd like to introduce, I believe will be our final speaker, Chief Ken Pimlott of CAL FIRE.
Well, we're recognizing Wildfire Awareness Week statewide, and I don't think ever have I been more aware of wildfire awareness than standing on this hot asphalt right now. So we're gonna wrap this up for you. But what I really want to do is just say a couple of things. One is all of the speakers have really talked about California as a whole and what we're doing, not just here in Shasta and Trinity counties, but what the entire state collectively is doing to prepare for and respond to wildland fire. Driving up Interstate 5 through Shasta County and you look out at the wildland, it looks like a homogeneous forest. Underneath that, though, is a complex arrangement of ownerships. You can be on 1 minute on a national forest. You can be at Whiskeytown National Park. You can be on BLM land, or you can be on private forest land across the state. Fires don't know those boundaries either, and it's a complex set of processes that California is extremely well practiced at wildfire burning across these jurisdictions. And just like every year, we are all bringing all of the resources together to combat the challenges that we'll face this year. From the state's perspective, we protect 31 million acres of wildlands across the state. We continue to be supported with significant augmentation that Governor Brown and the legislature have provided for additional firefighters and additional resources. We're staffing up up around the state as we speak. We will have all of our resources at peak staffing. And while we're training and preparing to respond, we're also engaging very heavily with our partners behind, you see behind me, in doing fuels management, the prescribed burning that you heard, fuel breaks, public education, defensible space inspections. All of these things are taking place literally as we speak, as we gear up for this year's peak of fire season. I think the rain and the snowpack maybe lulled the public into thinking that this year wasn't going to be the kind of conditions that we faced in the last several years. The reality of it is it's California, and literally today we've had over 8,000 acres burned since January 1st in California. One only has to drive Interstate 5 or other highways and see how high the grass is. That's what we haven't had the last several years, is this lush growth of grass that is now rapidly curing and turning brown and is becoming the kindling for the fires. This is where the fires are going to start, whether it's on roadsides or from sparks, from equipment use or other items. 95% of fires are started by people. This grass is going to be extremely receptive to fire starts, and that's what's going to carry the fire into other vegetation. So we absolutely have to be vigilant and not let our guard down. We're going to bring the resources, all of these agencies to combat the fires, but we need the public to do your part. And Chief Hebrard talked about Ready, Set, Go. That's our #1 message. Go to our website, Ready for Wildfire. It walks you through all of the things that were talked about here today. And it's not just CAL FIRE and the public agencies, it's our partners at the utilities. It's our partners with the Forestry Association and other landowners. But it's the public that needs to really engage with us to help prevent the catastrophic losses that we've seen in the last several years. And I'm excited to talk about this year a brand new tool that we have available to the public. Over 18,000 people have already signed up for our Ready for Wildfire application. It's free. It can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the iPhone application or phone store. And again, it's free, and it will walk a homeowner through everything you need to do to prepare your defensible space. And it will actually rate your home for you so you can figure out how to get 100% on clearance. Talks about and helps you with evacuation plans. It actually provides real-time fire information for the zip code you live in, or really anywhere in the state if you select other areas. And that's critical because we've never had a tool that can push real-time information right down to individuals wherever you're at in the state. Also real-time videos that will be updated and walk you through tips on preparing evacuation plans and other items for preparing your home for wildfire. So again, I encourage you, go download that app. Go to our website, Ready for Wildfire. But again, 95% of fires are started by people. We can prevent 95% of the fires that start. So again, thank you today. Thank you to all the speakers. We have a few minutes. We can take some questions and answers if you'd like.